All right, I figured out what was going wrong. Welcome back. So what was happening was the web browser, when I had it open, I was not supposed to have it open at the same time, was playing the recorded version of what I was talking about. So yeah, oops. I didn't even think of that. And so it took me going offline in order to figure that out. I apologize. So let's get back to today's live stream. Again, I apologize. That was, if it's not one thing, it's another. And just, that's why I'm grateful that I have technical difficulty screen, and now I will, oops. All right. Well, so after that misstart, so we're going to talk about 5 differences between an LLC and a corporation. So if you're new here, my name is Taylor Darcy with Think Legal. We help entrepreneurs create the business of their dreams. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I look forward to helping you build your business, start your business, whatever it is, through contracts and through proper formation. I'm grateful for people to come back. I apologize. But as often the case with tech, what can go wrong will go wrong. So I hope you're all doing well. And so welcome. Please leave any comments or questions that you have in the chat, and let's get started. So there's a lot of misconceptions about what an LLC is and what a corporation are. And a corporation is a more known entity compared to a LLC. LLC is a newer entity. It's only been around, relatively speaking, for a very short period of time. And so an LLC is a hybrid between a partnership and a corporation. Now, they're typically meant for businesses that are smaller, but not always. There are some fairly large companies that have that are LLCs, and they're also a lot of times used as a holding company because of the flexible nature of an LLC that you don't have with a corporation. So one of the main differences between an LLC and a corporation is an LLC is a member-owned and a corporation is shareholder-owned. And although subtle, but the differences in rights and responsibilities between those two types of entities is different. An LLC has more. There's a closer relationship between the members and the workers. In a corporation, there is the shareholders who appoint the board of directors, who then hire the executives. As an LLC, it's typically just straight members. They own it, and then they'll hire, in some instances, a manager to manage it. Other times it's just the members that are managing it. So you can see that it's kind of removed one of the layers between them. And so it's simpler to run. It's simpler to operate. The next thing is that they are simpler to operate. A limited liability company is, because of that simpler structure, you don't have the same level of formalities that you have with a corporation. A corporation requires certain formalities. You have to document everything to make sure that you remain in compliance, but also to maintain that the liability shield that comes with the corporation. An LLC requires an operating agreement. A corporation requires board meetings, minutes, resolutions. It's more complicated to run. And there's a big misconception that a corporation is better than an LLC from a liability perspective. And the truth is they're not. any difference. The liability shield is the same. It is limited liability, and that's very important. It's not unlimited limited liability. It's limited liability, so it's limited to the assets that are within the corporation or within the LLC. So they're basically virtually the same. You don't if anybody says, oh, an LLC is better because of this, or a corporation is better because of that, or because it's the stronger shield, they don't know what they're talking about. It's really about keeping up the formalities. And so the argument's made that an LLC is slightly better because the formalities don't exist in an LLC. And so you're left with, it's because it's easier, you're less likely to have the corporate veil be pierced as you would under a corporation. A limited liability has what's called pass-through taxation, which means the profit and the losses get passed through to the members of the company. And a corporation, on the other hand, is a normal corporation, not an S-Corp. So a normal C-Corp has double taxation. The shareholders are taxed on their earnings, and the corporation is taxed on its earnings. And so the S-Corp is kind of like the happy medium between those two. Because you can actually have an LLC that is taxed as an S-Corp, and you can have a standard corporation that can be taxed as an S-Corp. Now, there are some limitations on that. For instance, a corporation can only have a maximum of 100 shareholders that is an S-Corp. We'll talk more about S-Corps at a different time, but I just want to give you kind of some of the differences between an LLC and a corporation, because those tend to be the most popular questions I get. Next is an LLC it ceases to exist if the members pass away. A corporation can exist in perpetuity. So if you're planning on, or if planning is something that you're doing, because the shareholders can be passed on from one to the next. Now, you can appoint new members and you can do different things to help the LLC go on in perpetuity. But as a standalone LLC versus, like for instance, you could have a trust be appointed as the sole member of the LLC, and that can then go on in perpetuity. But as for a one-to-one relationship without a trust, then your corporation is a better option in that respect. Another difference is investors tend to prefer a Delaware corporation. Now, Delaware has very favorable laws for corporations, and so a lot of investors would rather you incorporate in Delaware simply for the sake of it's good for them, it's better for them. If you don't plan on getting investors, or if investors is not on your radar, you never plan on going on an IPO, or you never plan on getting past a certain stage, or you just plan on being a mom and a pop business, then a simple LLC, a multi-member, or even a single member LLC is a solid choice, because it eliminates a lot of the formalities that go with a corporation. So it's very important that when you're planning out your business, or when your business is starting, that you consult with an attorney to discuss the pros and the cons of your unique situation, because not every situation is right for every person. When you think about it, they have different entities, but they have different pluses and minuses as well. For instance, and here's a bonus difference is, an LLC can have foreign members, a S corporation cannot. And so if you're planning on getting foreign investors, you pretty much are stuck with an LLC. You can't use an S corp. They have to be U.S. citizens or resident aliens, that type of thing. They can't be foreign investors. And so if your plan is to, open up the market for more people, it's very important that you keep those types of things in mind when you're planning. And these are things that you're going to want to discuss with your attorney. Now, if you're discussing your specific tax instance, such as between an LLC and an S-Corp, again, you can have an LLC that is taxed as an S-Corp. So you don't have to pick in that instance. You can have it the best of both worlds, but that is definitely a tax question. We'll talk more about that at a later time as we discuss the tax benefits of an S-Corp versus an LLC. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do. And we will see you later. Hope to hear from you soon.